Namaste students. Hope you're safe at home with the grace of God. Today we are going to continue the bridge course. In today's class we are going to discuss about the topic the story of human beings. In today's class we are going to discuss about the early humans. Early humans, that is the tools which are being used by them, the discovery of fire, the uses of fire, early human beings, how they learned the farming and how was their social life, and the invention of the wheel and the different metals which are used by the early humans. First we'll try to discuss about the evolution of the early humans. How did they evolve? How did they change from one stage to another stage? That is, first we have to think and we have to understand that what are the different stages of the man. How did he change from one stage to another stage? Here is one of the image which I am trying to show you, which shows that the evolution of the early humans. The stages which are being made from the apes, there was a transformation from one stage to another stage which has taken millions of years for the evolution of the early human beings. You can see here there is a stage by stage development can be seen physically and mentally also. The physical development can be seen here, and even there was a mental changes also was developing in the interior of the human being, that is inside this head, that is in the brain. There are a lot of changes were taken place because of the changes in the different stages of the early human. Later what happened? Then after getting into the age of early human being, then what did he do? Early humans were leading a very tough life. They were facing very much difficulties. What were the difficulties that they were facing? They were having a very tough time in jungle, that they are not getting proper food. There was no shelter for them properly. And they were just able to get the fruits which are available in the trees in the jungle, and they used to eat by hunting the animals, and as well as they were not having a proper place to live, and they were moving from one place to another in search of food. They were not able to be settled down in a particular place. And another important thing is they were also not having a basic facilities also, like they were not even wearing the clothes also. So these are the problems faced by the early humans, where they slowly start changing themselves. First, the early humans were hunting the animals. They were called as hunters and food gatherers. They were just called as hunters and food gatherers, as they were used to hunt the animals. It is very difficult for them to hunt the animals with the bare hands. So then whatever they are trying to get in the jungle was not sufficient for them, the fruits or the roots which are available in that particular place. Then how to dig out the roots from the ground? So they were using the stones. The stones were not helping them to take out these roots and helping them to kill the animals, as these stones were not so sharp. They started the tools which are available, that is the stones which are available, they started making it sharp and try to dig the ground and take the roots which are available there and try to consume that one. Then they are going to use these sharp stones to hunt the animals and to tear the skin of the animals. This is what they were doing, and the tools which were used by them were the stone tools they were using first, and it just adding a support to that they were having a wooden sticks also, which is has a support for the stone tools to be used. When these tools were used by them, it was making them comfortable to hunt the animals, and later they wanted to be protected from the animals. So protecting from the animals is not done by them by only using the stone tools. They need something else to be protected from the wild animals, to be protected from that, even though they should be protected from the cold winds. So how can we just do? Then they got an idea that to identify that the fire, that is the most important discovery, the discovery of fire. How this fire was discovered? For example, if you see the hands, you can just start rubbing it. Once you start rubbing it, it generates heat. When it generates heat, the two stones were taken by the early man and he started rubbing these stones. When he started rubbing the stones, he was able to see the spark coming out of these rubbing stones. Before that, he has seen the fire when there was a lightning, when the trees catches fire because of the lightning, and the animals were scared of the fire. It was identified by the early human, and then he thought that so the fire is going to protect us from the wild animals. Then he decided to discover the fire by using the stones, and as well as two bamboo sticks can be rubbed each other to produce the fire. They were using the dry leaves and also the other kind of things which are available in the forest, and they started making a fire. When this fire was used for different purposes, the fire was used for the different purposes. It was protecting them from the cold winds and as well as from the wild animals. And then one more use from the fire is a piece of flesh has been accidentally fell into the fire, and when they took that meat and they tasted it, it was so soft and tender, and it was very tasty also when it was roasted in the fire. Then they discovered that before that they were eating the raw flesh. Later what happened, they identified that we can cook the meat, that is we can roast the meat in the fire and we try to use it. That is one of the use of the fire, that is they are protecting them from themselves from the cold, and as well as they are protecting from the wild animals, and even it is using for the roasting the flesh and they are consuming the flesh. So these are the things which are being considered that the discovery of fire is very important in the discovery at the time of early humans. Why? Because it was protecting them from the wild animals, and as well as they can cook the food, that is they can roast the meat and try to consume. Then what happens with the early humans when still they are called as hunters and food gatherers? They were keep on moving from one place to another in search of food. They thought that why don't we settle down in a particular place? While they were eating the fruits, the seeds were left out and these seeds were thrown on the ground. When the rainfall occurs, the early humans identified that these seeds were sprouting out from the ground. When it was sprouting out, they identified that the seeds can be thrown into the ground so that it starts growing. So they started collecting the different types of seeds and they started growing the different types of crops. So this is how the early humans learned about farming. A farming activity is also learned by the early humans by throwing the seeds on the ground. Domesticating the different types of animals like cow, sheep, goat, are providing milk and meat for them, and dog is considered as the one of the most trusted animal for their, and it was used in hunting purposes. And oxen was also used to plow the land. And also they started settling down in a particular place by constructing a huts by using the straws and skin of the dead animals, and they made a place to stay and settle down in a particular place. And also they wanted to just move the goods from one place to another, so they wanted to make some sledges, and as well as they used to make some rafts where they have saw that a wooden log is floating on the water, and they started making the rafts to make the goods to move from one place to another through the rivers and as well as the stream of water which is available in that particular place. And then they wanted to make the a cart which moves on the land. For that reason they wanted to invent a wheel. But how did the invention of the wheel was taken place? How it was invented? One day they saw that a wooden log has been rolling down from the slope. When it was rolling down from the slope, they were able to identify that the log was rolling down, and they started cutting into the pieces of round pieces of it, and then they started making it to roll on the ground. So when it started rolling on the ground, then they attached the those two pieces of the round shaped logs and along with the small sledge like structure which was attached to that, and then they made a sledges and which was considered as a wheel cart, and they started making it to move. So this was how the invention of the wheel was done, and which was considered as the most important invention of all the time. I will just show you an image of invention of the wheel. You can see that how the wheel has been evolved. The invention of the wheel was done, and later how it was evolved into the modern wheels, and how today we are most of depending on the wheels for the transportation and other purposes. And this has been become a major source for our transportation, where we make the goods to move from one place to another, and the people are connected to the different countries, cities, and also the towns and villages also, by transporting the goods as well as the people from one place to another to do our economic activities. So this is how the invention of the wheel has been done, and which is considered as the most important invention of the in the field of transportation. And later, even though early humans were doing the activities like farming, domesticating the animals, still they wanted some better tools to be used. First they were using the copper tools. Later they mixed the copper and tin with the bronze, and then they discovered the iron, usage of iron. Iron was considered to be the hardest metal at that time, where they were using it for the all other agriculture purposes, and several tools were made like hammer, shovels. All these things were which were used for the purpose of agricultural activities. Later the farming process, what they were doing was able to produce more number of food grains, where the people settled down in a different regions in a group, and many houses, huts were built in a particular place, and they settled down and their social life started there. And also the different tribes were emerged in that particular place. They started settling down in a different parts of the forest and cultivating the crops by using the different types of metals also. So this is how they were able to make their life to be settled in a one place, from the hunters and food gatherers. Later they were used to do fishing, hunting the animals, and gathering some food also by moving from one place to another, as they were wanderers at that time. Later they started settling down in a particular place, and they discovered the fire, they invented the wheel. All these things were done by them, which was considered as the most important invention of all the time. And all these inventions have been made, and today the humans have been completely connected with the different parts of the world with the modern technology, modern developments. All these were the basic story of where the story of human beings has begun in that particular time, and this is how that we have already developed in this stage. We are connected with the different types of technology, and this is how the advancement of the man or human beings, what they have done in this world. And even though the development is done, still we should learn that we also should protect the nature and save trees and save the forest for the wild animals and the other creatures which are depending on the forest also. And even protecting forest will also save our life also, because it increase the oxygen level in the environment, and it is our primary duty to save the environment and save the earth from pollution. And we should have a lot of concern towards the nature, as we should promote the activities like afforestation, vana mahotsava, and planting more trees, protecting the environment, reducing the pollution of air, water, and adopting the different methods to save water and conserve the environment is our primary duty, which has to be done by us. That is what the gratefulness or the service what we are going to do to the nature. As we are taking everything from the nature, it is our primary duty to save the nature. And I hope everybody that we should, once we start looking into the condition of the earth in present day, that lot of pollution leads to the global warming and lot of problems in the nature. So this is because we only affecting the nature. So as the nature started giving everything for us from the beginning stage of the early human stage till today, we enjoyed the things whatever given by the nature, but still we are not having a conscious mind to protect the nature. Let us take an oath to try to protect the environment. So this is how that we can save the mother earth. Dhanyavad children.